me!
I laughed when my husband accused me of having feelings for my best friend. I mocked him, called him insecure, pathetic. That night, I went to bed angry, convinced I was right. When I woke up the next morning, his side of the bed was cold, his clothes were gone, his phone was off, and on the kitchen counter was a single note that said, "I am sorry I was not enough." That was 3 months ago. I have not heard from him since. My name is Sarah, and I destroyed my marriage without even realizing it. It started so innocently, or at least that is what I told myself. My best friend Tom had been in my life since university. We met in a literature class, and bonded over our shared love of classic novels and terrible coffee. When I introduced him to my boyfriend James 5 years ago, I was thrilled that they got along. James never seemed bothered by my friendship with Tom. We would all hang out together. Game nights, dinners, pub quizzes. It felt perfect. James and I got married 3 years ago. It was a small ceremony. Tom was there, of course. He gave a speech that made everyone laugh and cry. James hugged him afterwards, and told him he was grateful. I had such a good friend in my life. But somewhere along the way things shifted. I did not notice it at first. Tom started texting me more often, just random things throughout the day, memes, songs he thought I would like, complaints about his job. I would respond immediately because that is what friends do, right? James would be sitting next to me on the sofa, and my phone would buzz, and I would smile at whatever Tom had sent. James would glance over but never said anything. Then Tom went through a brutal breakup. His girlfriend of 2 years left him for someone else, and he was devastated. He called me crying at 11 at night. James was already asleep. I went into the living room and talked to Tom for 3 hours. I told him he deserved better, that she was stupid for letting him go, that he was amazing and kind and any woman would be lucky to have him. After that, Tom needed me more. We started meeting for coffee twice a week. Then it became lunch. Then after work drinks. I would come home and James would ask how my day was, and I would mention I had seen Tom, and James would just nod. But I started to notice his jaw would tighten. His responses became shorter. One evening James asked if I wanted to watch a film with him. I said yes, but then Tom texted saying he needed to talk. I told James I would be back in an hour. I went to meet Tom at a bar. We talked about his ex, about his job, about everything. When I checked my phone, it had been 3 hours. I had 17 missed calls from James. I rushed home panicking. James was sitting in the dark in our living room. He looked at me and said, "Where were you?" I said I was with Tom, you know that. He stood up and his voice cracked when he said, "Do you have any idea how worried I was? You said an hour, Sarah. It has been 3. I called you 17 times. I felt defensive. I said my phone was on silent. I am sorry, but Tom needed me. He is going through a hard time." James stared at me for a long moment, and then said, "It is always Tom, isn't it?" I said, "What is that supposed to mean?" He said, "You prioritize him over me. Over us. I cannot remember the last time we had an evening together without you checking your phone to see if Tom messaged. I cannot remember the last time you looked at me the way you look at your phone when his name pops up." I laughed. I actually laughed. I said, "Are you seriously jealous of Tom right now? He is my best friend, James. That is it. Stop being so insecure." The word insecure hung in the air like poison. James flinched, like I had slapped him. He said quietly, "I am not insecure, Sarah. I am your husband. And I am telling you that I feel invisible in my own marriage." I rolled my eyes. I said, "You are being ridiculous. Tom is just a friend. If you cannot handle that, then maybe you need to work on your own issues." James went silent. He looked at me with an expression I had never seen before. It was not anger. It was something worse. Resignation. Defeat. He said, "Fine, Sarah. You are right. Maybe it is my problem." He turned and walked into our bedroom and closed the door. I stood there feeling vindicated. I texted Tom and told him James was being weird and jealous. Tom replied immediately saying, "Some guys just cannot handle their partners having friends. You did nothing wrong." I went to bed that night, convinced I was right. When I woke up the next morning, James was gone. At first I thought he had left early for work, but his work bag was still by the door. I checked the wardrobe. Half his clothes were missing. His toothbrush was gone. His laptop. His favorite books. I ran to the kitchen and saw the note on the counter. "I am sorry I was not enough." My hands shook as I read it over and over. I called him. Straight to voicemail. I texted him, no response. I called his work. They said he had requested emergency leave. I called his brother. He said James had asked him not to tell me where he was. Panic set in. I spent the entire day calling everyone we knew. No one would tell me anything. His friends were cold with me. His mother refused to take my call. I sat in our empty house and for the first time, I let myself think about the past 6 months. I thought about all the times James had tried to plan date nights, and I canceled because Tom needed me. I thought about our anniversary dinner, where I spent half the meal texting Tom because he was having a crisis at work. I thought about the weekend. James suggested we go away together, and I said I could not because Tom had invited me to his family barbecue. I thought about the morning James made me breakfast in bed, and I barely looked up from my phone because Tom had sent me a funny video. I thought about every time James reached for my hand, and I pulled away because I was typing a message to Tom. I thought about the way James would start to tell me about his day and I would interrupt him when my phone buzzed. I thought about how many nights James went to bed alone because I was on the phone with Tom. And then I thought about Tom. Really thought about him. I thought about how my heart would race when I saw his name on my screen. I thought about how I would light up when talking about him. I thought about how I defended him to James with a ferocity I never showed for my own husband. I thought about the time Tom told me I looked beautiful, and I thought about that compliment for days. I thought about how when Tom was in the room James seemed to fade into the background. And I realized with horror that maybe James was right. Maybe I did not love Tom romantically, but I had given him all the emotional energy that should have gone to my husband. I had made Tom my priority, and James, my option. I broke down. I sobbed on our kitchen floor for hours. I called James again, and again. Nothing. I sent him long messages apologizing, begging him to come home, to talk to me. Read but no response. Tom called me that evening asking if I was okay. I told him James had left. Tom said, I am so sorry, Sarah. Do you want me to come over? And for the first time I said, no, Tom. I think you being here would make things worse. There was a long pause, and Tom said, what do you mean? I said, I think James was right. I think I prioritized you over my marriage. I think I let you take up space that should have been his. Tom got defensive. He said, I never asked you to do that. You are my friend, Sarah. Friends support each other. I said, I know, Tom. But I think I crossed a line. I think we crossed a line. Not physically, but emotionally. And I did not see it until it was too late. Tom said that is ridiculous. James is just controlling. And hearing him say that made something click. I said, no, Tom. He was not controlling. He was hurt. And I ignored that hurt, because you made me feel needed in a way that was addictive. But it was not fair to James. It was not fair to my marriage. Tom hung up on me. I have not spoken to him since. That was 3 months ago. James still will not see me. His brother finally agreed to meet me for coffee last week. He told me, James is staying with a friend in another city. That he is seeing a therapist. That he is trying to heal from what he calls the emotional affair I had with Tom. I said it was not an affair. I never touched Tom. I never kissed him. James' brother looked at me with pity, and said, Sarah, you gave Tom your time, your attention, your emotional intimacy, your priority. You gave him everything that a wife should give her husband. Just because it was not physical, does not mean it was not a betrayal. Those words gutted me. Because he was right. I did betray James. Not with my body but with my heart and mind, and time. I chose Tom over James every single day, and I convinced myself it was innocent. Because we never crossed a physical line. But emotional infidelity is still infidelity. I have spent these 3 months replaying every moment. Every choice I made. Every time I dismissed James' concerns. Every time I laughed at his pain. Every time I chose Tom. I contacted a therapist myself. She has helped me understand that I was seeking validation from Tom. That I should have been seeking from my husband. That I created an emotional dependency that was unhealthy. That I disrespected my marriage vows, not just to James, but to myself. I wrote James a letter. I did not make excuses. I did not blame Tom. I took full responsibility for my choices. I told him I understood if he could never forgive me. That I understood if he wanted a divorce. But that I needed him to know, I finally saw what I had done. That I finally understood his pain. That I was sorry. Truly, deeply, devastatingly sorry. I gave the letter to his brother to pass along. I do not know if James has read it. I do not know if I will ever hear from him again. I have accepted that I may have lost the best thing that ever happened to me, because I was too blind to see what I had until it was gone. Some nights I lie in our bed, and I can still smell his cologne on his pillow. Some mornings I wake up and forget he is gone, and I reach for him and feel nothing but cold empty space. I see couples walking hand in hand, and I want to scream at them too. Cherish each other, to prioritize each other, to never take each other for granted. Because I did. I took James for granted. I assumed he would always be there. I assumed his love was unconditional and infinite. I assumed wrong. If James ever comes back, I will spend the rest of my life proving to him that he is my priority, that he is enough, that he is everything. But I do not think he is coming back. And I have to live with that. I have to live with knowing. I destroyed my marriage, not with a dramatic affair but with 1,000 small choices that said you do not matter as much as he does. If you are listening to this and you have a partner who has expressed concern about a friendship, please listen to them. If you have a partner who feels neglected because of how much time you give someone else, please hear them. If you have a partner who is begging for your attention while you are giving it to someone else, please see them. Do not make the same mistake I did. Do not wait until they are gone to realize what you had. Do not dismiss their pain as insecurity when it is actually a cry for help. Do not choose anyone over the person you vowed to love and cherish. I did. And now I live with the consequences every single day. My name is Sarah, and I laughed at my husband's jealousy until he disappeared. Now I would give anything to hear his voice again. If you have ever felt unseen in your own relationship, please leave a comment below. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe so you never miss another story. And if you are in a relationship right now, go tell your partner you love them. Do not wait. Do not assume they know. Just tell them before it is too late, like it is for me.